Coming up on today's Airborne, the FAA delays mandated tower closures, the exotic Pipistrelle Panthera takes to the skies, and just in time for spring, ForeFlight introduces its Mobile 5. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. I'm Ashley Hale. The FAA said Friday it will delay the closures of all 149 federal contract air traffic control towers until June 15th. Last month, the FAA announced it would eliminate funding for these towers as part of the agency's required $637 million budget cuts under sequestration. This additional time will allow the agency to attempt to resolve multiple legal challenges to the closure decisions. As part of the tower closure implementation process, the agency continues to consult with airports and operators and review appropriate risk mitigations and how to execute the changes to the national airspace system. A phased 4-week closure process was scheduled to have begun Sunday, April the 7th. Instead, the FAA will now stop funding all 149 towers on June 15th and will close the facilities unless the airports decide to continue operations as a non-federal contract tower. As of Friday, approximately 50 airport authorities and other stakeholders had indicated they may join the FAA's non-federal contract tower program and fund the tower operations themselves. ANN has learned that one of the most exotic new airframes promised for the experimental aviation market has pulled off its first flight without difficulty. The new Pipistrelle Panthera completed its 54-minute maiden flight on April 4, 2013. The aircraft completed ground functional and taxi tests at Pipistrel's headquarters in Slovenia before relocating to a nearby airport. Following high-speed taxi runs and jumps above the runway, the plane lifted off the runway at 14:15 local time and spent 54 minutes in the air. Both pilots agreed the handling was straightforward and pilot-friendly. Panthera has since completed several hours of flying with its undercarriage both out and retracted. Ivo Boscarol, CEO of Pipistrel, noted that, quote, "We knew for a long time that we were capable of developing and producing aircraft larger and more capable than ultralights and LSAs. Panthera is proof that Pipistrel's team can indeed compete with the most eminent global general aviation producers," end quote. Pipistrel's lean and mean Panthera is a curvy and highly refined 4-seat general aviation aircraft, reportedly capable of flying 4 people for 1,000 nautical miles, cruising at 200 knots, and burning at 10 gallons per hour. With full composite construction with a titanium retractable undercarriage, enhanced comfort, and parachute rescue system which comes standard, the Panthera can be equipped with a conventional, hybrid, or all-electric propulsion system. ForeFlight has just announced a new version of its popular app, just in time for the beginning of the spring flying season. ForeFlight Mobile 5 is now available for download in the App Store. The third major release of 2013 delivers a fantastic suite of new capabilities that will further enhance spring and summer flying while reducing cockpit workload. The new features include a terrain and obstacle awareness system called Hazard Advisor. When activated, it highlights hazardous terrain and obstacles within 1,000 feet of your aircraft's GPS altitude. Terrain and obstacles within 100 feet are colored red, and hazards within 1,000 feet of your aircraft's altitude are colored yellow. Obstacles are dynamically added to the screen as they become threats. The terrain colors change smoothly and look stunning. The app also features extended runway center lines for most airports in the United States, making it easier to figure out how to plan a pattern entry. There's also an enhanced runway advisor that helps you pick favored runways, taking internet or ADS-B winds into account. And it provides a range of graphically depicted pattern entries, and an auto taxi feature that automatically displays taxi diagrams when you arrive at an airport. Pilots can choose between 3 new map orientation modes: track up forward, track up centered, and north up. and plate rotation for SIDs and STARs is enabled on iPads. It's no secret that several major air shows around the country have severely scaled back their plans or canceled their shows entirely after sequestration forced the U.S. military to place a freeze on aircraft demonstration teams like the Navy's Blue Angels, the Air Force's Thunderbirds, and others. Now the industry has enlisted some help to make its case on Capitol Hill. Tom Patton has that story.
Ashley, it's the first time the International Council of Air Shows, or ICAS, has hired a lobbying firm. According to a report published by the Center for Public Integrity, ICAS President John Cudahy said that, in his view, the freeze represents a threat to the entire air show industry. He said there could be hundreds of air shows around the country that might just go out of business without the ability to promote military jet demonstrations to draw audiences. While some areas of the government have taken a 15 to 20% cut, Cudahy said the air show business has taken a 100% cut in the support the U.S. military can provide. The lobbying firm Vanscoyic Associates has been retained on a month-to-month basis. Cudahy said that while they work on Capitol Hill, air show organizers and promoters need to be sure they do everything they can to promote their shows, adding that the media attention to sequestration gives air shows an opportunity to raise awareness about the issue. For Airborne, I'm Tom Patton.
For the first time in its 29-year history, the Georgia Museum of Aviation is cutting 32 aircraft from its inventory. The Macon Telegraph newspaper reports some will be moved to other museums or put into storage, but others, among them a Cold War iconic B-52 Stratofortress, will be scrapped. Museum director Ken Emery says that move was brought on by cuts in Air Force personnel back in 2011 that eliminated 11 civilian positions and left the museum without the personnel to maintain the aircraft, many of which are on static display outdoors and are literally rusting away. One of the most notable is a B-52 Superfortress, one of the museum's largest aircrafts. Emery said the Superfort is the plane he most hates to lose, but admits the museum has neither the money or the personnel to restore it. A specialized machine will be brought in later this year to tear it apart and crush it. But as the old saying goes, within every dark cloud is a silver lining. By cutting the 32 planes from its rolls, the museum will open up needed hangar space and thereby hopes the National Museum of the Air Force will give them a long sought-after World War II B-17. The Air Force has 16 B-17s at its museums nationwide, and 9 of those are outdoors. The Georgia Museum believes one should be given to it because it could be hangared indoors. As painful as the downsizing may be, museum officials say it is the right move to make and will benefit the museum in the long run. You're watching Airborne. More in a moment.
Redbird Skyport is a multifaceted aviation laboratory charged with developing innovative solutions to the issues facing the industry.
It started out as a vision for a laboratory where we could objectively measure the systems and the processes that we were developing. Being able to put some objective measures behind the anecdotal evidence that we have about the value of motion and the application of this technology is very, very important, because until we can objectively measure it and play that data back, we can't design training systems that make the best use of it.
For more information about Redbird flight simulations, as well as Redbird's new Skyport, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com or www.redbirdskyport.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or podcast, drop us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Pilatus Aircraft Limited has released a report showing positive annual results for 2012, despite turnover and operating profit decreasing as expected compared with the previous year. Order intake increased to a total of $2.85 billion, including 3 major orders from India, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. The levels of orders in 2012 was greater than that of the previous 4 years combined, making it the largest in Pilatus' history. Current orders will secure enough work for Pilatus over the next 4 years. While many Swiss companies were still having to cut jobs in 2012, Pilatus said in its report that the orders it receives mean the company is in a position to create jobs. In the past year alone, the number of employees at the headquarters and stands grew by 10% to 1,433. Certain employees of Cessna have been offered the opportunity to voluntarily retire in what the company calls an effort to cut cost. The program is open to employees 55 and older that are not involved with the production of airplanes, according to a report appearing in the Wichita Eagle. Company spokeswoman Stephanie Harder said that the hourly workers represented by the machinist union are not being asked to consider the plan. Harder said, quote, "The production levels are not being changed," end quote, the paper reports. She added that there are still employment opportunities listed with the company. An employee who opts for the package would work for another month, with the effective date being May 3rd. And Harder said there is no set target for the workforce reduction. It's Tuesday and time for our Aero video of the week. We all know the supersonic Concorde has been retired and is no longer flying. So if you happen to see one in the skies, it might be this exciting radio control model. Search YouTube for MCG Clause H Concorde maiden flight. The NTSB has announced that its 2-day investigative hearing into the January 7th battery fire aboard a Boeing 787 at Boston's Logan Airport will be held on April 23rd and 24th at the NTSB Boardroom and Conference Center in Washington, D.C. The hearing will focus on issues relating to the design, testing, and certification of the battery system. A detailed agenda, list of panelists and witnesses, and media information will be released at a later date. The hearing comes as Boeing is flight testing a potential solution to the problem that caused a battery fire in a JAL Dreamliner earlier this year, which led to the grounding of the entire fleet of 49 Dreamliners in revenue service. Finally, today on Airborne, hundreds of students from across the country will meet on May 11th at Great Meadow in the Plains, Virginia, to decide the winner of the world's largest student rocket contest, the Team America Rocketry Challenge. In a year of record turnout, attracting 725 teams, only the top 100 will proceed to compete in TARC's final fly-off. The top 100 teams represent 29 states, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and a diverse cross-section of America's youth. Teams include students from urban and rural America, all-girls teams, a record number of 4-H teams, and a team comprised entirely of Civil Air Patrol volunteers. Over the next month, these students will be working tirelessly to perfect their rockets as they set out to compete for the national title, more than $60,000 in scholarships, and a chance to participate in NASA's prestigious Student Launch Initiative. Well, that's our program for Tuesday, April 9th. Remember, you can get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at Aero-News.net. And please join us again next Friday for another edition of Airborne. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.